Hello. Yeah, so I'm here to talk a little bit about the more practical examples of AI for small businesses. So I'm Simon. I'm General Manager of the Australian Regional AI Network. We're one of 4 supported facilities around the country focusing on AI adoption services. So we provide practical advice, education. We do workshops at industry events and those type of things. And we have a membership scheme where practitioners can come in and get free tutorials on AI adoption and advice in their business. And our focus is regional Australia. So regional Australia, small, medium businesses. So I'm going to go back a little bit to my career before moving into the world of a founder. So back probably 7 years ago now, I was a dutiful employee at a large bank in Melbourne. And basically my role was creating documents, presenting PowerPoint presentations, but most primarily I was a developer, so reviewing and coding software. There's thousands of me like that in the bank. There still is today. And our function really came off years of experience and acquired knowledge in the coding and software development field. But really my old vocation has just been transformed in the last couple of years, especially with some of the generative AI technology that's come out. It's really democratized the field of software development. And today, pretty much anyone can be a software developer. So an example of this is Honey, who is an 8-year-old from the US, who is using some pretty off-the-shelf tool called Cursor to develop a Harry Potter chat app from scratch. Honey has no coding background. She has no training in software development. But she has no trouble developing what's actually a pretty complex software application. What she does have is imagination, creativity, and the art of conversation to say what she wants in the application, where she wants it. That's all she needs. So in my field of software development, that was a pretty scary proposition, right? And it's sort of put shockwaves across the industry, put an alarm to us all, and lots of people in a lot of fear that they'd be out of a job as a result of someone like Connie being able to do something like that. But although there was a lot of disruption, and software development's possibly been a little bit at the front, one of the first to experience this transition a little bit. Although there was a lot of disruption, most of my colleagues that I've found who have lent into this technology rather than sort of running away have really discovered some massive efficiencies to be gained. And a lot of my software development colleagues are using these tools now, and they're saying that they feel as though they've got about 10 developers. They're the CEO of an organization with about 10 developers who develop in their same language, with their same voice, with context of everything that they've developed previously. It's a real empowerment tool for them. And it just shows that by embracing the change rather than blocking it and running away, there's some real innovation to be had. But we're technologists, so we're kind of used to pace of change, but for many small businesses, there are opportunities like this, but this whole space is drinking from the fire hydrant at the moment. It's happening so fast and so quickly. How do you separate the wheat from the chaff? It's a real trick for small businesses.
No.
So what we are seeing is that, as I say, it sort of feels it came to the software development trade fairly early, but we're starting to see some of these AI tools being adopted in every other industry around the country, actually. And this is part of the survey that Rita shared a little bit earlier. But what we can see in this survey is that primarily right now, across use cases and businesses, AI is being adopted mainly for admin tasks, marketing tasks, making sense of large data sets, customer support, and these type of applications. Probably the biggest one is some of the generic tools like Claude and ChatGPT and those type of tools, which are ingesting large data sets and being used to make informed decisions from those data sets. That seems to be where the action's at the moment. And we are really seeing there's a bit of a delta here that the adoption is happening mostly in large organisations. And that kind of stands to reason with them having more resources and more admin-heavy type tasks. So small, medium enterprise is lagging behind somewhat in adoption. And then extending it a little bit further, we did some research with the National AI Centre through this survey on regional adoption. And there's, again, quite a divide there around regional versus metro adoption. An interesting aspect here that we found in some of these surveys is that in terms of awareness of AI tools, there's a parity between metro and regional adoption of AI in these businesses. But where there's a divide is actual useful application. So finding actual use cases for them, which kind of stands to reason in that regional businesses are a lot more land-based, whereas these tools are more sort of admin-heavy, data-heavy sort of applications. But what we're finding, and this is what our job is to do at the Australian Regional AI Network, we feel that this is really a superpower for small, medium businesses in particular, some of these tools. And if these businesses are leaning in and actually leveraging these tools and being educated in them to apply them in creative ways in their business, they can get competitive advantage, increase their efficiency, and lots of other benefits to be had. And importantly, what we're finding, and what I mentioned on the panel earlier, is a lot of the use cases that we're finding with businesses are not focused around these complicated, expensive tools. They're use cases, like I mentioned, I think it was Brown mentioned earlier before, the simple use cases to solve a problem in business. That's where there's real value to be had, and I'll share an example in a moment about that. So, quick couple of examples, and this is just, again, these are two examples using really generic, basically off-the-shelf tools where a business owner has leveraged these tools to really make a disruptive play in their market. So this on your screen is 29-year-old Brisbane entrepreneur Alexa Stathakis. And Alexa launched a healthy drinks business, and she had a pretty important decision to make. She could employ some expensive sales and marketing teams, admin teams, or she could leverage AI to take on some of that function. And Alexa chose the latter, and she had some pretty stunning results. So Alexa used a generic AI tool to create a virtual AI assistant sales representative for her business. And she nicknamed that bot Sarah. And this bot was able to place 8,000 calls to schools across the country in less than a week, offering free sample packs of her product. And in less than 1 week, Sarah was able to secure over 1,000 orders across regional and metro areas. And once again, that was just with a generic SaaS-based tool that you could go and purchase in for $20-40 a month online. So she just used that in a creative way, and her business is well and truly off and running through that tool. So another example, which is a pretty cool example I've got here, is this company Deep Liquid. So Deep Liquid is a boutique brewer in the Barossa Valley, and they've developed a AI-generated ale machine, they call it, that creates personalised beers based on individual tastes. So what they do is they get their customers to come in, fill in a survey with some questions. That a simple AI algorithm processes those answers and produces a custom recipe and produces a custom ale for that customer. So it's a personalised ale, and they actually recently appeared at a beer and barbecue festival where they got customers to come up and taste 4 different types of chocolate and then enter the survey results and then produce a beer for that particular individual. And that's just like a really creative, again, way that a small business can get a foot ahead of some of the other players in their market just through their creativity and off-the-shelf tools. So that's what we're really passionate and focused on is finding and employing those sort of examples. So those 2 examples we go to a lot of events and talk to a lot of individual small business owners, and those sort of stories just emerge over and over again. Probably the most common use cases that we're seeing where small business owners are solving problems with these tools are again with the AI chatbots, especially with farmers ingesting manuals and data sets and being able to interact and ask questions of those data sets. It just reduces that 2-hour burden from their day, Those type of little use cases. Social media automation is actually a really strong area as well, automating content from the data that you have in-house. There's a lot of tools available, again, off-the-shelf, freely available tools that you can employ in a business to automate that function. Data analysis, again, there's a lot of resources around. There's Cyro, Spark, and a lot of Bureau of Met tools and those type of things that are able to discern weather trends and those type of things that are, again, free tools that you can use, and much more. So what we are finding in the ag space as well, another simple one is using images to identify and detect weeds and those type of things. Again, really simple use cases, but highly effective and giving these businesses opportunity to dip their feet in the water and get exposed to this AI reality that we're all going to have to live with. That's all the good side, but we also hear a lot of concerns often raised. So probably the biggest concern that we have, that I hear most often, is the cost and complexity issue. And I think that's a bit of a consequence of where we've come from with AI. A lot of the use cases and applications at events are focused on pretty expensive and complicated use cases. So, but as I said earlier, there's so many tools available right now that you can just implement in an interesting way to save time in your business. The second one is really around job security, which I've mentioned earlier is another one that comes up quite often. But as per the developer example I gave before, that the experience that I've had and that we're seeing is that these tools are being used, that there does need to be a human in the loop, and there needs to be that human triage process. They're more a collaborator rather than a replacer, is sort of the general gist we get. And then the last bit is around the data side. So safety and ethics. So the ability to prioritize data privacy, because 9 times out of 10, small businesses, employees are using these tools, whether they know it or not. And in a lot of cases, they don't know about it. So their data is exposed in some way. So that's often that's a bit of an issue that's incumbent on business owners to tackle that head on and actually have that conversation with their teams. So where do businesses start? So this is kind of the process that we go through with our businesses, which is we encourage business owners to gain some awareness, and ARAB provides resources around all these steps, but gain some awareness about what's happening in your field and how this technology is impacting your field. then embark on some education. And interestingly, on the education side, I don't necessarily mean signing up for courses or things like that. I'm talking about actually using it in your daily life, like examples Rihanna was talking about before, actually downloading Claude, ChatGPT, Notebook, LM, Flexi, all these common tools, and just have a go at them. And then the biggest one, probably the biggest one, it's so intuitive, but it's the biggest one that we're finding with small businesses, is schedule a deliberate and focused conversation with your team about AI concerns, what it means, how they're using it. It's so important, and we're providing a script and a bit of an agenda for that, for businesses to be able to run that meeting, because that's where the creativity comes out, and that's where we sort of discover the concerns and what's happening in the business. So that's really the presentation. I think Rita shared a lot about some of the resources available, but at arain.com.au you can sign up free as a member, and we provide short tutorials of real use cases that you can implement in your business, as well as some guidance in that step process as well. So and I'll be out there if anyone wants to have a chat after.